Hi, I'm Sophie and this is Rosie, and we're going to be starting our first YouTube channel. So you'll be seeing lots of Rosie and some other dogs, as I have my own doggy daycare business as well as boarding. So I have my regulars. That includes Penny and Juno and Poppy, so a very girly team we've got going on. And then we have our regular boarders like Storm and Chester and Luna. You'll have a very high amount of doggy content on this YouTube channel to be able to watch. I'll also talk about other things like my relationship and the fact that I'm engaged. Oh, there we go. Nice kisses, thank you. And we'll talk more about my previous work experience and how I got into running my own daycare business. I'll talk to you more about things like our wedding, if we end up having a wedding this year. So COVID-19 is going on right now, so that means that my business is being affected by it, as well as our wedding plans definitely being put on hold. Hey? But we still have Penny who comes in. She's boarding with us and goes home every now and again. So I will update you on things like the dogs that we have staying, adventure days out that we're gonna have, having the dogs go out swimming and doing like new different nature trails and things like that. So yeah, that's Rosie. You just want me to throw your toy. I'll tell you more about my history, more specifically like work history. So I went and did my A-levels solely because I didn't know what else to do, and college just seemed like the only choice, because after doing your GCSEs you weren't really told anything other than, right, you'll go to college and then you'll go to university and then you'll get a job. And apparently that's like the only option. So I went to do my A-levels and I was not committed to actually doing anything with that. So after doing my A-levels I then went to catering college because I've always enjoyed cooking at home and baking specifically, and so I decided catering college would be better than university, where I would be committing at least 3 years of my life and getting a huge lump of debt at the end of it, just for something that I wasn't even sure that I really wanted to do, and whether I'd even get a job related to that afterwards. So I decided I'll go to catering college and then see what it'd be like getting work after that. I think at the time, because I'd done 2 years at catering college, at the time I would have done a third year and done a pastry course, so you'd be like in more of a baking kind of job afterwards. And then of course that course wasn't available, and so I got some work in the industry and realised it was really fucking hard, and it's nothing like catering college where you're just like messing around with your friends, and obviously it's like school hours, so it's not like hard graft being at catering college, whereas working in the industry was fucking awful. So it was really bad. I think my first job after finishing catering college was at the ice arena local to me, so I was working in the cafe / restaurant there, and I would be put on these fucking awful shifts where it would be 7:30 in the morning setting up for breakfast, or even 7, I can't remember now, until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night if there was an event on. So I would be on like 13-14 hour shifts, and I wouldn't get a break because the head chef would decide to put just me on the rota for that day with no one else. And so yeah, that was fun, especially things like obviously not having a break was awful for those long shifts, but they also didn't even have like a staff room or anywhere you could even get changed. So I literally had to get changed in the public, like members of the public toilets, which is disgusting when you think about the fact that you're going to prepare food and you're having to get changed in clothes in a public toilet. It's not very nice. So I don't know whether they've improved on that or not. After that, I got some work actually at a cafe in the Crown Court so obviously they've got like magistrates and Crown Court, so I was in the Crown Court most of the time, and that was more like front of house, so I'd be serving people, so I'd be serving judges, jury members, members of the public. So members of the public would include family members of people who are at court. So considering it's Crown Court, not magistrates, Crown Court are a lot more serious cases, and so yeah, serving family members of them as well. After that, I got an apprenticeship at the Crown Prosecution Service at the CPS, which was quite a change, like going from a service kind of job where you're on your feet all day, then going to an office job. And so yeah, the apprenticeship was really enjoyable. Like, it was a really interesting job where you actually really enjoy reading the cases, and just like all of the information is just so interesting. And I was obviously working with the prosecutors, and so they're like really interesting to talk to, and really everyone was really nice as well, apart from taking a few people with admin management, but that's a story for another day. And then after that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, because I wanted the freedom of things like being able to potentially work from home and not necessarily being in a government style role, like maybe somewhere a bit more like a private sector rather than public. And so I looked into different things like web design, web development, as that's what Harry, my fiance, does. He's a front-end web developer, and I've also tried marketing, so I did that for at least over a year. But then there was just this point where I just felt like nothing about these places were perfect, and if there's something that's if it's not perfect, then I don't really know whether I want to carry on with a job that has faults, whether it's like the job itself is boring, or the job itself is stressful, or whether it's a member of the team or management, or whether it's even like the hours and not being able to work remotely, so I'd like to be at home more because obviously I've got Rosie. I always like the idea of just having a bit more control over my surroundings and what I was doing with my life, and obviously, as you know, I love Rosie so much, and so it was at that point that I decided to do my own doggy daycare and boarding business. And so I think I spoke to another dog walker, and I said, this is what I'm thinking of doing, what do you think? Do you have any advice or anyone that I could speak to? And she messaged me back, and I think she recommended this woman who's actually a really nice friend of mine now, Kerry, and she said that she would be good to talk to because she has the exact same thing. So it's a daycare and boarding business run from her house, so like the clients will drop off the dogs in the morning and pick them up after work, and if people go on holiday they'll be staying at her house, so they're like part of the family. And I was like, that's exactly what I want. I want to have dogs that are like my second dog. I've nearly been doing this for a year and I was finally starting to build up clients, but then obviously COVID-19 happened and that's kind of slowed everything down, and yeah, that's not been ideal. But that leads on to me saying that I actually have one client who has been relying on me a lot. So the lady is a nurse in the intensive care unit at our local hospital, and she has these awful 13-hour shifts, and she's doing night shifts as well, and she's actually got her dog boarding with me right now, because when you're serving key workers, like I couldn't ever turn around and say to someone, no, I'm not going to look after your dog, when they're working in the ICU for 13-hour shifts and their dog would be literally alone at home. My phone's going, and I can tell you who this is. It's going to be Nikki, because I've just sent her a bunch of pictures for my channel art for YouTube, and I was just like, help me choose, I can't decide. And then I sent them all to Nikki and I was like, I don't like any of them. She's now replying, probably telling me which one she likes, and I hope it's the one that I've chosen, because this was like an hour ago that I sent them to her, and then I was like, oh well, I'll just choose this one. I'll show you some footage of the dogs from the past couple of days, hopefully.